it's the fragility itself that become an evolution advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we don't have that in mind,
Mm-hmm.
we don't understand the urge in human being to be always able to go beyond obstacles that have actually created themselves, even if the obstacle doesn't exist yet. And my definition of mathematics is actually...
An obstacle we create for ourselves.
Exactly. It's the science of obstacle. That's the reason why we say problema. In Greek, problema means obstacle.
Right.
In Greek. And so...
Yeah, but I prefer theory building to problem solving, the kind of math.
But I'm not talking... Because you're right. Because in fact, it's more than theory building. It's problem building. The problem of solving is not the aim. In fact, it is. We have to understand that the real aim is the problem. And when we are talking about initiation...
Asking a good question is more important than solving.
Exactly. But look, you were talking about Elon Musk.
But can I mention something else?
Of course, go ahead.
Because your description of human beings and their evolution is very beautiful, but I like to make a complimentary remark from a mathematical point of view. There is something called the universal Turing machine. And that's this flexible machine that Turing thought of in 1936, which became the digital computer. And that's what we are. The human being, the brain, the investment, the biological investment in a human being is in the brain. Other animals have, stronger jaws, bigger muscles. The human being is, as you said, not very good. But it's a generalist, not a specialist. And the brain...
An opportunist animal.
The brain gives human beings flexibility, the intelligence, and and you pay a price. The problem with having a baby is the size of the baby's head, and the size of the baby's head creates all kinds of difficulties for women to give birth, and is reflected in the design of women's bodies. We make a tremendous biological investment in generality, in flexibility, in intelligence, in the brain. You see? But not in muscles, not in speed, not in strength, in intelligence.
But after, through our intelligence, we invent also new ways of increasing our speed, even physically, doing things even physically, but through processes that go to our brain by imitating different animals, because it's animals that taught us how to run, but we made it some kind of a practice, trying to do something that I actually did. It's really interesting because if we, for instance, talk again about Elon Musk, who is dreaming to go to Mars and doing things like that. Some people
That's the reason he wakes up in the morning.
Exactly. In fact, some people are, especially in France, are joking about it, being very ironical. You know how French people are about this kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. But they are wrong. They are wrong because, let's say, just the dream to go to the moon. In fact, it's exactly what I tried to explain. We didn't go to the moon because we intended, because we faced an obstacle, and so our survival was at stake, and so we wanted to go to the moon because that was a necessity. It's why the way animals function, and they can be even more efficient than us in front of an obstacle that is actually here. But we created an obstacle that is the distance between the Earth and the moon. I mean, there was no reason whatsoever.
We want a challenge. We want adventure.
It's what I'm saying.
We want new worlds to conquer.
Exactly.
That's also why you invent new mathematics.
Exactly. At first, in my thoughts, a few years ago, I was thinking that the specificity of human beings was just the fact that we need to tell ourselves stories about what we are, and we create like a narrative being that is called the ego. You'll be an individual ego and you'll be a collective ego. But now, I think that these narratives, as a specificity, is that we don't tell any story. We always tell stories that are in themselves the story of obstacle that we actually overcome and that gives rise to other obstacles. And it comes for our feeling of incompleteness and of the idea that things are incomplete. And so when we are doing that, and that comes from the idea of challenge, of it. What is a game?
Life is boring without a challenge.
But what is a game? A game is not, you create an obstacle that does not exist. It's like mathematics. You make it like, even when you have a net in tennis, it's an obstacle. What do you do? I mean, you do an obstacle. So
I'm not good at games. I had friends who were very good at chess, for example. I studied it a little, but I couldn't take it seriously.
I know,
I was already doing pure math.
But because your game is math.
Right.
But it's a game. Because you are challenging yourself.
Okay.
You know? And so it's where I wanted to go. You know, I think very slowly and step by step to get to, because the question I want to raise after having said all that, it's the first question that I ask. Is it possible to have a machine that has like a mind, that could replace human being? I say no. Because that, and I will tell you why.
We may find out now.
No, but I will tell.
Why? You have a theoretical reason.
Yeah, I have a very theoretical reason. Because I said, once we have a definition of a human being as being the more complex of all being, so complex on the brain point of view, when we were in front of animals, that would be fine for us narcissistically, because we'll say, of course, we are the more complex, intelligent, etc., etc. But now that we have machines that we are creating, but nevertheless, even if we are creating them, they are about, if they are not already, or they are about at least to become more complex. But for me, and so this time we have, like Freud will call, some kind of a narcissistic wound in front of our own creation. You know, we feel narcissistically wounded. But I think we are wrong to do that, because right from the start, we have to understand that the specificity of human being is not to be more complex, but is to be basically complexed, frustrated, feeling weak. And these complex made us more complex. Mm-hmm. And so if now our creation is more complex than us, it doesn't mean that our creation, we get our complex, our frustration, which is at the root of our ego. So like if I insult you, for instance, if you're a machine, if you're not programmed for that, you don't care. But if you're a human being, you feel humiliated because that's your narrative being that is touched, not your organic, because your life is not at stake. If it's something else, you know? And so what I'm saying is, in fact, in any game of obstacles that already exist, artificial obstacles like tennis or anything else, or chess, or physical obstacles, machines, we know it now, will always win over us. They will always win the game. But they will not feel the necessity to create another game, because they will be creating a difficulty that is not necessary. So, except if you actually program the ego in a machine for it to feel incomplete and create something that is not necessary, but that will be the simulation of an ego that is not really an ego. You can't make a machine human, because what is important is actually this feeling of weakness. And the machine is always there to be stronger and stronger and stronger and become stronger, like by necessity. And there is no reason a priori for this machine, once it has actually win over us at ping pong, to say, let's make another net bigger, because it will do that and that and that. So what's the point?
You don't think machines can get bored and want challenges?
No, because I think the fact that you're bored is actually also the very awareness of incompleteness, the idea of incompleteness, the fact that you're bored. Say, let's find something that is a bit different, and so something that is challenging and something like that. I think, in fact,
well, that's an optimistic view then.
But for me, awareness
that we won't be replaced by our creation.
No, I don't try to be pessimistic, optimistic, because at the end of the day, we will say, who cares? I mean, we will not be here. It's replacement, but it's better to be replaced by betterness, as you said, and that's fine for me. It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is, it's an argument that I try to make it an objective argument. There is something in human beings that make them what they are. That is not what we think. Actually, it's their weakness that became an advantage.
Yes, I think that's a very good point. The only problem with all of this is that there are some very smart human beings who are now trying to create an artificial general intelligence. And that's their challenge. What they see as their challenge every morning is to create a mind that is superior to the human mind. And they are very smart, and they will do their best to make this mind as good, as powerful, as creative as possible. And maybe they'll succeed and maybe they won't, you see. Because some of the smartest people on this planet are now working on precisely this problem.
Because for me, the specificity of human being is not being smarter. It's feeling weak and the need to complete what is incomplete. And to see the universe itself as being incomplete. And so this desire to complete it and not being satisfied. And this thing make us doing the best, but also the worst. So even destroy ourselves. And you see, when you were in front of this kid that makes you feel that, it's because you were like connecting yourself with this feeling of weakness, which is the deep human feeling.
Yes. Well, Raphaël, I resonate with your talking about completeness and incompleteness, because this was, at the age of 11, what took over my intellectual life, Gödel's incompleteness theorem.
Yeah.
This question of, can mathematics be complete or is it intrinsically incomplete? It's the same. It's the same words you're using in a slightly different context, but they're powerful words, complete and incomplete.
But you know what is really weird is some of my colleagues, philosophers, they will think that what I'm saying is okay. They will say, oh. So now, what Raphaël Liogier wants to say is that we feel incomplete. That's the reason why we are thinking about infinity, and because and metaphysics is the creation of our frustration, and God and theology, etc., etc. But that's not my view. So I want people to make sure to understand that my view is that by having this feeling of incompleteness that comes from the evolution, and make an advantage what was at first not an advantage, that has opened a window to the truth. So, for me, the fact that human beings, after try to give reason, to tell their feeling through the image of God, the image of different narratives, of different things, it is not just a frustration, like Freud will put it, that is trying to balance itself, to live itself in the world, no. I think it's the view on the truth that helped us to understand better the reality of the world, not only to behave in an efficient way, etc., etc., etc. So what I'm saying is, metaphysics is not wrong. Metaphysics is actually a window to the world that comes from that, but that opened a window, a real window to the reality of the world.